What is up, guys? This is AlintheaYoh coming at you with a double card discussion today, and kind of an archetype-ish discussion about the Shinobirds that are coming out in the next set, Raging Tempest, in a couple of weeks. So this is a ritual archetype that's kind of gone under the radar, very much so, because you can argue that it isn't going to be meta, it isn't going to be a tier 1 deck, and I would have to agree. But it's still a very interesting one, and one that you could potentially make some pretty cool plays with and actual deck builds. So if you don't know what the Shinobird archetype is, it is a spirit archetype. Yes, we finally have another spirit archetype, which is really cool to go along with Nikotama and Aratama. If you have been following my channel for a long time, you will know that I love spirits. They are fairy spirits. This is brilliant. Ironically, these aren't fairies though. This doesn't follow the same route as Aratama and Nikotama and all of those. These are winged beast wind monsters, and obviously that makes them pretty decent because they have fun access to things like lightning Chidori, but the awkward thing is that the monsters outside of the ritual cards aren't that great. So today we're just going to be talking about the actual ritual monsters, the big boss monsters that you could say, and how you can use them, and just basically everything about them. So there are two of them. There are Shinobaroness Peacock and there is Shinobaron Peacock, so there is male and female. Shinobaroness Peacock is a level 8 winged beast ritual spirit monster with 2,500 attack and 3,000 defense. Its effect reads as follows: you can ritual summon this card with Shinobird Calling. Must be ritual summoned and cannot be special summoned by any other ways. If this card is ritual summoned, you can shuffle up to 3 spell and trap cards your opponent controls into the deck. Then you can special summon 1 level 4 or lower spirit monster from your deck, ignoring its summoning conditions. Once per turn during the end phase, if this card was special summoned this turn, return this card to the hand, and if you do, special summon 2 Shinobird tokens. Winged Beast Wind level 4, 1,500 attack and defense. And Shinobaron Peacock's effect is very similar. It is the exact same apart from 3,000 attack and 2,500 defense, and its effect is you can ritual summon this card with Shinobird Calling. Must be ritual summoned and cannot be special summoned by any other ways. If this card is ritual summoned, you can return up to 3 monsters your opponent controls to the hand. Then you can special summon 1 level 4 or lower spirit monster from your hand, ignoring its summoning conditions. Once per turn during the end phase, if the card was special summoned this turn, return it to the hand, and if you do, special summon 2 Shinobird tokens. Winged Beast Wind level 4, 1,500 attack, 1,500 defense. So you can see how these work. They are very interesting, so let's break them down a little bit. They can both be ritual summoned with Shinobird Ritual, which is a ritual spell card that basically says you can ritual summon them as normal, but you can banish spirit monsters from your graveyard up to the level, which is really, really good because you're playing a lot of level 4s. Shinobaroness is basically saying you can shuffle up to 3 spell and trap cards your opponent controls into the deck, and then you can special summon a level 4 or lower spirit monster from your deck. So obviously being able to special summon something from your deck is really, really good. And what that does mean as well is that in the end phase, that spirit monster is going to come back to your hand. So it's kind of a late reinforcement to the army, you could say. So you can protect your monsters, potentially extend your future plays by getting things like a Nikotama or an Aratama. Unfortunately, you don't get Aratama's effect to search because that is only a normal or flip summon, which is a bit of a shame, but can't really do much about that. Then there's something very important. When it says in the end phase, it returns to your hand, and then you special summon 2 Shinobird tokens. You might be saying, well, what's the point in that? I've just gotten rid of loads of cards to actually special summon this card. I might have bounced some back row, but then I can't really do anything with it. It's not going to stay there, and the boss monster disappears. You would be correct. However, there was a card released a little while ago called Urgent Ritual Art. Urgent Ritual Art is a trap card that basically says you can banish a ritual card in your graveyard and then simulate its effect. So you can then summon out the Shinobaroness Peacock again in your opponent's turn, for example, with the tokens to then react to what they're doing. Now, honestly, this is much, much better with Shinobaron because Shinobaron allows you to bounce monsters, and it gives you that all-important disruption to your opponent. Being able to bounce up to 3 monsters is really good because it's basically anytime Mistworm, and that is really good, especially when you look at the format that's coming up with the mass amount of spamming, with basically the mole rat days down on us, the zodiac days that are going to be coming. It just means that you can go whoop and return and interrupt their plays, which is actually really good, especially if you do it on one of their Xyz. because it means that you're interrupting it and then they don't actually get those monsters back that are attached to the XE play. So for example, they do go for that mole rat play. You don't want to send that mole rat really back to the hands because they'll just be able to use it again. You want to wait and be able to really protect your own monsters and protect your future plays by just getting rid of it all. Now admittedly there is a lot you need to really invest into this archetype to be able to make it good, but the good thing is that you do have access to things like Aratama, Nikotama, Yaksha and also Ryatsu. If you don't know what they are, Nikotama basically allows you to extra normal summon a spirit monster in the turn. Aratama lets you search out a spirit monster. Ryatsu allows you to reveal a spirit monster to return one monster to your opponent's hands, and then also Yaksha allows you to bounce back row. There are obviously other cards like Yamato no Kami that allows you to banish, to special summon it, then it pops back row and it inflicts damage. There's all the other ones as well, like Dark Dust Spirit, which dark calls the field and such, and there's another one, the Heavy Storms as well. There's a lot of good spirits out there, but it's how you build this deck. This deck can be basically built in a few different ways. There's a control aspect, an XE aspect, or a fairy aspect. There are a lot of other different ones you could say, but I think mainly the XE one is probably more stable than the others. You could do a control version, but the problem with the control version is that the format will just trounce it. Because the format is so quick, you really need to be able to try and keep up with it. You really want to abuse the fact that Shinobaron has that powerful effect to be able to bounce cards. And the good thing is, it doesn't target because it says up to. I think that's the biggest thing about Shinobaron. The fact that it doesn't target is so good, and it does help the fact that it comes back to your hand. But having 3000 attack as well is good. There's some important things that you could do with this, is that because it is a level 8 and you also have access to possible kaijus just mean that you can put it on your opponent, then get your own kaiju back. So you're recycling a lot of stuff that you can use. Because they are level 8, as I said, it means that you can also run trading at 3 because it allows you to really potentially plus. You also have access to different things like pre-preparational rights and preparational rights with Manju 2 because they are all normal cards. But what you might be saying is, well, AlintheaYoh, you're wrong, you can't use pre-preparational rights. You can. Because the best thing about Shinobird Calling is that it actually lists both of the rituals on the card. That, in my opinion, is really good because it means you don't have to run 2 separate ritual spell cards to just summon both of them. You can use one to summon both. A good thing though is that you can tech in a little bit of a thing like Advanced Ritual R with a 2 or 1 blue eyes as well, because that also has synergy with your trade-ins. Overall, this deck is really interesting. I'm for sure going to build a deck of this, and I'm going to do a dual diaries of it for sure, because I think it does have some form of potential, but it just needs a bit of love and a bit of care, because there are a lot of different builds out there, but one that I haven't really found that I'm happy with, especially with testing and the limited amount of testing that I honestly have had, if I am honest. But I am really looking forward to actually playing around more with this and seeing what I can come up with. So I want to know what you guys think of the Shinobird archetype. Do you think it is a really interesting one, or do you just think it's no good, it's just going to be one of those things that slips on by and no one pays any attention to? So as I said, let me know down in the comment section below. Make sure to give me a like, comment, subscribe, and I shall catch you guys later.